Alright, Superman. Can we just talk about this? You literally destroyed half the city. You caused a lot of collateral damage. But I stopped the bad guy. I saved the city. But you destroyed half the city. He was gonna destroy the city anyway. Besides, our battle didn't cause that much damage. Okay, maybe you're under arrest, but I'm Superman. A superhero or superheroine is a stock character who typically possesses superpowers or abilities beyond those of ordinary people, is frequently costumed concealing their identity, and fits the role of the hero, typically using their powers to help the world become a better place, or dedicating themselves to protecting the public and fighting crime. That is the definition of a superhero. But you knew that already, right? Superheroes have been around since 1936 when Lee Falk created the comic The Phantom, who was also the first superhero. He was also known as the Ghost Who Walks. Man, I love Wikipedia. Anyway, welcome to a video about superheroes, and that's it for the intro. Goodbye. First things first, I prefer Marvel over DC. Just because I don't know as much about DC and I grew up with Marvel anyway. And my favorite superhero is Iron Man. I think he's cool. Also, I think Marvel just has better movies. Or had. Anyway, let's talk about superpowers. If I were to have one superpower, it would probably be flight. Do you know how much money I would save on plane tickets if I could do that? And plus we could save money on gas and I could just fly to get groceries. Okay, I'm out. How'd I do? You clocked in at about 10 seconds, 3 seconds off of your best time. Darn it. Some people argue super speed is better than flight, but I kind of find super speed a lame power. Do you know how much you'd have to deal with running fast to places? Imagine running through buildings or even people's homes. Sir, I think you're in the wrong home. Call an ambulance. Another power is teleportation. Teleportation is kind of just the power that shreds the whole flight or speed argument. Flying is still more fun, although not exactly sure how the power would work. Would you think of the place from memory or wherever you think you would go, but what decided where you went? It's, I don't know, just random questions. To me, super strength is a kind of power that's kind of useless and can only get annoying. Let's now rapid fire through some other powers. Telekinesis will be hard to do with a mind like mine. I just mess up. Talking to animals sounds like a good way to just feel bad for those poor things. But I definitely won't talk to bugs. They have dark thoughts. Waterbending! To be honest, this sounds it needs no explanation. Shapeshifting! Sounds really pointless. Invisibility! To be honest with you, the only use I can think of doing with this power is probably just doing bad things. Don't go invisible, kids. Epic transition. I made comics. Make comics. I think comics are just as important as superheroes, but I don't have anything to say about comics, so let's just hear about my comics. Yay! I talked about the Dogman series in the childhood video, and it was definitely interesting. It was an interesting series, I'll tell you that. Darn it, I said series! After completing this lump of stinky garbage, I started a series called The Ultimate Comics Universe, or the UCU. It all started with me and a friend coming up with really stupid superhero ideas, one of which who held inconceivable power, and he's just a rock with a cape. We made tons of superheroes like Pancake, Waffle, Doctor, and Captain Madagascar. Yeah. Fun fact, Doctor in Pain is actually the actual character in the series, and it is actually canon in the series. It's all connected. While working on this series, I realized I needed a villain. A true, incredible villain. At the time, which was around last year, I was a big Gravity Falls fan. So with the inspiration of Bill, I created Astron. The guy in my last video. Astron is a character I'm very proud of, and I will never forget this guy. I think. After I finished the Ultimate Comics universe, I put Astron into a spin-off series I called Astron Chillin' with the Homies. Super Rock, Bill Cipher, Pancake, Waffle, and Barry, aka Deadman. There are quite a bit of these comics, but not as much as my Dogman series. I do these books with a friend of mine who we'll call Friend. Yippee! Currently, me and Friend are working on Astron Chillin' with the Homies, the movie. Currently, we're in early production, but if you guys do want to see this movie up on the channel, comment down below. Blah, blah. Basically, I have this very long overarching story going on. It actually started with Dogman. It is being continued today with Astro Channel with the homies. Yada, yada, yada. You probably don't care. Although you might, you know, if you do, you are cool. Anyway, superheroes have made a major impact on the world, and the truth is, every time we pick up one of these comics, we get immersed in a whole new world. Or a terrible one. It's your choice. Do you know how much you have to deal with when running to Do you know how much you have to deal with running to fast place? Do you know how much you have to deal with running to flat? Do you know how much you have to deal with running to fast places? Do you know how much time? Do you know how much you'd have to deal with running? Do you know how much you'd have to deal with running Do you know what? Do you know how much you'd have to deal with running to fast? Do you know how? Do you know how much you'd have to deal with running to fast place? Do you know how much you'd have to deal with running fast to places? Would you think of the place from memory, or would you think of the place from memory, or were? Oh, this is gonna be a hard one. Would you think of the place from memory, or would you think of the place from memory, or would you think of the place from memory, or wherever you think you would go, but what decided where you go? But what decide? No. Would you think of the place? Would you think of the place from memory, or wherever you think? Would you think of the place where? Would you think of the place from memory, or would whatever? Would you think of the place from memory, or would you think of the place from memory, or wherever you would think you would go? But what decided where? Would you think of the place from memory, or wherever you think you would go? But what decided where you went? I don't know, just random questions.